Hi, and welcome to the Soul and Survival podcast with Grant and Louise Bentley. We have run the Victorian College of Classical Homeopathy since 1995. We are both qualified practicing homeopaths, and Grant is also a naturopath. Together, we discovered a link between energy and facial structure based on traditional ideas from homeopathy that have roots going back 200 years. This project is called Homeopathic Facial Analysis, or HFA for short, and has been the cornerstone of clinical diagnosis and training courses since 1999. Between us, we have written and produced 7 HFA books, including Soul and Survival. Soul and Survival is the philosophy of energy influencing matter and how this energy forms individual facial structure, our unconscious drives and fears, our life patterns, and universal time cycles.
Well, hi everybody. Welcome to the next Soul and Survival podcast. Welcome, Louise.
Hi Grant, how are you?
Good. Okay, so we were going to talk about repeating remedies. When it comes to repeating remedies, honestly, I think the real question is not why do we repeat remedies, but why so many homeopaths do not repeat remedies. The simple answer is because Hahnemann said so, and homeopaths will still jump up and down saying you shouldn't repeat, one dose is enough. But honestly, that's more out of obedience than it is out of experience. And yes, it is true that Hahnemann did write that in his earlier writings that everything that a 30C would have and should have done has been done. So there's no need to repeat. He said that if you repeat when it's unnecessary, then, he didn't even say repeating when it's unnecessary. He said if you repeat, you can actually cause big problems. Now that's actually found not to be true.
And also it does make you question. I mean, he said that in the first, second, third, fourth edition of the Organon, so 1810 on. But then in 1843... he's on to the LMs, which is all about repeating.
Well, it's all about repeating, but how he justifies that is that, and I do think it's a justification, by the way. Mm-hmm. Now, first of all, clearly, it's important for people to understand that, seeing as though I base so much on Hahnemann, not to sort of say that I'm disrespecting the guy, but at the same time, you can put out any statement that it's not about reverence, right? It's about accuracy here that we're questioning. He's already earned the reverence, even if he's wrong in this, which he is, by the way. But he already deserves and receives the reverence. But we're not talking about spirituality. We're not talking about faith. Right, so Hahnemann is not a messiah. He's he's not a very naughty boy. He's a very smart man.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean smart men get it wrong from time to time, and they're up for it. If you can prove that I'm wrong, wasn't there something to do with Einstein when they sort of said what happens if there's a consensus of opinion that goes against one of your theories? He said something to the words of, I don't need a consensus, just one will be enough. Providing that one can prove where he's wrong. That's all that you need. To me, the living proof of the LMs is already proof that you need to repeat. You need to repeat food. You can't just eat one every now and again. Hear that bird in the background?
Yeah, okay.
You can't just repeat. You don't have one meal and then eat again in another month's time. You don't do it with chiropractic treatment. You don't do it with exercise. Everything is about consistency. That's how you make headway. Not doing your exercises once and then stopping. So I think he realised he made a big mistake. And I think we've spoken about this before, but the problem for Hahnemann was his personality. And his personality is both a bonus for homeopathy and a detriment to homeopathy. It was a bonus because you needed that really dogged self-determination and an almost self-righteousness that paralleled Paracelsus. But at the same time, that self-righteousness makes you a whole load of enemies. Now, you need that maybe not self-righteousness, but it does turn into self-righteousness. But you need that self-confidence, as you pointed out, to be able to back yourself, to be able to, because people are, with any new idea, we've seen it even with HFA, let alone homeopathy itself. Don't think so. You don't know anything about it, but no, it's wrong, even though you don't know whether it's right and how it's right.
No testing whatsoever.
No, yeah. And we've experienced this.
We know what it's like, yeah.
Left, right and centre. Well, Hahnemann was experiencing it from the whole medical profession. So now he's put himself into a position where he can't be wrong. Otherwise, you get this whole, well, if you were wrong about that, what else have you been wrong about? Right. So now I think we reach his latter years where we understand, or he understands, the need to repeat. It's obvious, otherwise you wouldn't have done the LMs. Because put it this way, if you were achieving everything that you wanted to achieve genuinely, with a single dose of, let's say, 30 at this stage, but it can be anything. If you were achieving everything that you wanted to achieve with your single dose of 30, why did you spend so much time perfecting another method?
Absolutely. I mean, it just clearly highlights that something needed to be done. And you've done this too. You've done this. And look, hold on, let me step back. I remember even before HFA, there were articles coming out in Similia. I can't remember the name of the homeopath. I think he was Spanish or maybe Mexican.
Oh, I thought he was from Hong Kong.
Oh, okay. Well, you know who I'm talking about, but he spoke...
Well, I don't know who, but I
can't remember the name.
I sort of vague... I know the article, the rapid dose is where you're going.
Yeah, it's about rapid dosing. And it was such a change to what, Kent said and all the things we've been taught. People had gone from a 30C up to a 1M in the hope that it was strong enough to kind of impact forever. But even everyone could see it didn't impact forever. And, I mean, we see patients quite frequently now who've seen other homeopaths and they're a little like, what, every day? Like, yes, you've got to get the right remedy every day for a while to start to retrain the body energetically to balance itself out, nervous system, hormones, etc. It's repetition. It's a constant energetic message. So he must have come to that at some point himself. But because all that work was, we've mentioned this too, didn't get published until 1922 for various family reasons, then it just sort of got lost as a concept that he'd made that shift. And it's huge.
And you're right, it is huge. And look, even if you are going to sort of say we're wordsmithing with the LMs versus the centesimals, if the 30C was able to do everything that was possible, why did Kent go up the ladder? Why even need 200s?
Everybody changed around with potency. I mean, we learnt that in year one. Bonninghausen did intercurrents and Kent went up the scale and
Bonninghausen repeated.
LMs. Yeah.
Bonninghausen himself repeated. He did 200s daily, he did 200 weeklies, and when that ran out of steam, he did intercurrent remedies and then started repeating the previous medicine that he wanted to repeat. So what do you get out of this? The question is, the answer is what you get out of it is that the vital force or the energy of the remedy is not sustainable. It's not permanent, right? Just the same way as everyone else in every pill-popping profession has learned. You need more of it. And the reason that you need more of it is because as a battery, the human body's pretty bad.
Well,
it doesn't store energy that well. Not really, not for extended periods of time. I mean, yes, we just watched a Survivor episode where, that guy starved himself and then ends up winning. But, or unless I've just spoiled it for somebody.
You haven't said which
not
series.
Survivor, what is it? Alone.
Alone. I believe there's a lot of them. But his strategy was to use so little energy by barely moving that his intake didn't have to be quite as high. And there's a truth in that because, energy in, energy out.
Yeah.
Energy always balances. So,
but you saw all the other contestants, either emotionally or physically, generally both, just start to waste away.
Yeah.
Right? So and the only reason that they got that far is because, one, they put on as much weight as they could, so they go in, as fat as their body can make them so that they can burn it all up. And then they walk out and they're all ribs and bones. But what you're seeing there is, yes, okay, the body is surviving, but it's not surviving on stored energy. It's starting to actually eat into your muscle mass.
Yeah.
Right? So as a conductor of energy, we're good. As a storage of energy, our body's really poor. So that's why we need to eat. That's why we need to sleep. And that's why we need to do it constantly. We don't do 1 10-hour sleep, which is the equivalent of a 200C. I'm making that up, obviously. Don't sort of make notes. But we don't do 1 10-hour sleep and then say, okay, well, that's it for a month.
Yeah.
No, it's silly.
If you look at all the basic functions, I think, isn't it breathing? You have to breathe about every 3 minutes or you're gone. Some people can go longer if they're cold or whatever, but submerged, they can go longer, and there's cases of that. But 3 minutes is pretty much it. And most people can't even hold their breath for 3 minutes. And then how often do you have to – you really should sleep every 24 hours. You get pretty screwed up otherwise. You need to eat probably every few days. I mean, but even that causes trouble.
You can go up to around about a month without eating.
If you've got some store.
But you're eating into other
your
things.
Stores, yeah. And then you've got drinking. Drinking's even more frequent than eating. So there are things that need to be repeated for our physical body and our emotional and intellectual state to stay in pristine order. And remedies just come into the same paradigm. But here's the key, of course. It's got to be the right remedy. It's got to match the miasm and the totality.
Well, this is what I was going to get onto too. But the first thing that I think that is really worth pointing out is that homeopaths really do need to understand what they're dealing with. So when you define what a remedy is, people say, oh, well, it's an energy for the body. Okay, all right, I get that. It is, actually, you're right. But energy, why do you think then, using that it is an energy, and energy is utilised and transferred quickly, why do you think it lasts? Of course it's not going to last. The moment that you turn your TV, you can pull the plug on your TV and whatever you were watching, it's gone. It doesn't stay around for a while, right? So the whole concept, so now what I get back to is what I was saying before, is that the question is not why do we repeat, but why do we make the mistake of thinking that we don't repeat? And that was essentially, it was Hahnemann defending himself. That's what I think.
Yeah, I can really see what you're saying. There's no other reason for him to change his whole way of doing it when he clearly stated, don't repeat.
Well, listen, mate, I mean, he was in direct correspondence with Bonninghausen continuously throughout his life. But if you read Bonninghausen's lesser writings, he's repeating.
Yeah.
So why didn't he get a letter from Hahnemann saying it's an abomination, you're going to hell, it's all these sort of things that, this rant that he would often go off on? He didn't do that with Bonninghausen, but Bonninghausen, he knew that he was repeating. And yet he didn't say anything. And that's because really, essentially, it's knock yourself out and tell me what the results are. But let's just keep it between ourselves, hey? Like, so in the end, what he probably found is actually the repetition stuff's, it's worthwhile.
But let's just be very clear here, because we've been doing this 30, 35 years, however long time. It's not just any remedy. It's not just because it's a bottle of energy. It's not like food where you can have any piece of fruit that's compatible with life and you'll get something off it, or any piece of meat, and it doesn't matter particularly which one, you'll get something out of it. It's not like that with remedies. When you're dealing with energy, it's like a tuning fork. It has to resonate with you. This miasm has to be the same, this defense mechanism. That's why we use the face. And then the totality of the case, because there is a difference between each of the remedies. That's what the provings has told us. But there are so many crossovers that actually finding that resonating remedy can be really challenging for a homeopath, which is why you developed HFA, because not that you knew it at the time, you developed it out of a curiosity.
People who don't know homeopathy don't know how easy it is to get the remedy wrong.
Oh, it's so easy, yeah.
Right. And here, if Hahnemann is writing at whatever stage, that it's injurious to give more than one dose, I will guarantee you, with the knowledge that I have and the 200 years of experience that he didn't have all written up in books that I have, but he didn't have, because he was the pioneer, and which is why I'm not slagging him off, because you've got to cut people some slack. You shouldn't know what isn't yet known. Right?
Yeah.
You can only learn that along the way. And I've got the benefit of all of this writing that has come after Hahnemann that he didn't have. So it might sound like I'm slagging him off, but I'm not. I'm absolutely not. But I'm telling you now that if he is giving 2 or 3 doses of a remedy and he's seeing really negative consequences from repeating that remedy, it's not the repetition. He's got the remedy wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is why he came up with the idea of would there be something else going on? And he's right, there is something else going on. His own theory, the miasm theory. The miasm theory that's got 200 interpretations. The HFA interpretation is only one of them. I would love it if, I know this doesn't exist anywhere in the world, but if there was someone who would fund a control study to actually look at some of the main methodologies, whether it be via the top practitioner in that methodology or 10 of their best students, whatever, but to actually look at the outcomes for the different methodologies, because it's really only anybody's word. And
yeah, it has to be objective. Listen, I would be up for that in a flash. I am that confident of the HFA model. I am up for that in a flash, but it has to be objective. It can't be the practitioner themselves assessing themselves as to what they regard as a good result.
It's got to be a proper control group. It's got to be scientifically set up with, observers and the whole thing. It has to be done properly, otherwise it has no use, really.
Anyway, there's no one around like that, so we're just back to believing the practitioner.
So
really.
all we can do is word of mouth, and we keep saying over and over, like, if you want to learn this, I have not seen disappointed students. That if you get to the end of it, which is only 40 hours. It's not, we've condensed it as much as we can. And you're diligent, meaning you're prepared to read some books, perhaps once or twice. You're prepared to learn things and memorize them. You're prepared to test yourself. You're prepared to put in, somewhere between 40 and 60, 80, 100 hours, which is not a lot for any topic. You'll be reasonably proficient in a short time. You'll just go, oh, I had no idea. That's what everybody says. They just can't believe how much cleaner and better and more objective, and the outcomes are better, and they can understand what's going on, and they do know when to repeat. They know because you've developed a set of guidelines that are very strategically strong and apply to all cases, but each case is still individual. You've still got to interpret which direction you're going to go with the case management, the repeating. But, do you want to go on a little bit, some bit of an overview of your strategies with repeating, how you do your case management?
Well, mostly I start with a 30, but it may not always, right? If I'm not starting with a 30, I'll start with a 200. And yes, I will repeat the 200, and no, the 200 is not a devil's number, and no, you should never give 200 to pandas patients. That's just plain stupid. You give whatever is necessary, right? The potency is not the issue. This is where people get sidetracked into minor issues. It's like when you buy a remedy and it says it's homeopathic because it might be 6X or 6C or whatever it might be. It's not homeopathic, right? That remedy that you're taking with the 6X or 6C on it is an infinitesimal dose, but what makes something homeopathic is the simillimum. That is the key.
The resonance. I mean, we've all taken remedies that are not homeopathic to us.
Yeah.
They looked good on paper, you take them. Generally, nothing happens. Occasionally, a remedy will rattle a very sensitive person, but you just stop, that goes away, and you replace it with a better one.
Yeah.
So it's not a major issue. I really dislike within the profession the intense focus on the negativity, on the failure, rather than the success. Like when there's a success, why is it successful? What's going on there? Like, let's repeat that. But there's a lot of focus on failure, and a lot of the patients bring that with them.
Much attention on proving remedies
and aggravations, and it's just bizarre.
Gosh.
We almost, because we left it behind quite some time ago, not to say there isn't the very occasional aggravation. Look, we can get a remedy wrong, we can get a miasm wrong, and a sensitive patient, if they're in the tubercular miasm but you think they're in the psoric miasm and you give them a psoric remedy and it doesn't suit them, you'll know it quickly. You just stop and you have a look at the case. You go, oh, you know what? I think I was wrong. I think it's tubercular. Let's pick the best tubercular remedy. You give it to them and then they go, yeah, that remedy was heaps better. Going to show too that it's not placebo.
I know it's
no way it's not placebo. Like, you can give a patient 5 different remedies and they'll go, no, number 4 was the one.
The biggest aspect of placebo is the prestige of the practitioner. And I don't even see the patients that I deal with. Most of the time I see the parents, usually the mum, but occasionally the dad as well. I see the mother of the pandas kid, but I don't see them. They won't come on. So they have no idea when I change a remedy and suddenly it starts working. They have no idea. Some of the time the parents have to put it into their food or drink or otherwise because the kid's just refusing. Now that becomes a whole new issue, but in my mind, when you've got somebody who is mentally and emotionally incapable of being able to make the right decision, then it's your responsibility as the caregiver to make that right decision for them. So I have no problem with somebody turning around and saying, I have to give it to my child in their food and whatever. Now, that brings up 2 things. One, the ethics of it, which I just discussed from my opinion of it. I just don't believe that your rights are more... See, when you have, I'm choosing not to take this medicine, says somebody who's mentally incompetent, well, that doesn't count. It doesn't count until you are mentally competent, and we get you into balance, and then you can have that discussion for them. But right now, while they're punching holes in the wall and they're biting you on the face every time you go near them, and I'm not being hyperbolic either, while they're doing that, It's your responsibility, and you get it into them any way that they can. Otherwise, it's your life that's going to be a misery for a much longer period. So you're doing this not just for them, you're doing it for yourself as well. And for the benefit of everyone in the family, because here's the thing. You have one child in your family where their fight or flight system is switched on to the magnitude of pandas, the capability of which pandas can switch that to, level 10 magnitude, and I will guarantee you everyone in that family has their fight or flight switch on.
They're all on edge. And the really crazy thing too, or not even crazy, but kind of uplifting, is that when the person gets back into balance, they're really happy to take that remedy, because a person who becomes well after they've been really sick knows the difference. Everybody wants to be well, not sick. Nobody goes, I'd rather that previous state. The state of being the best you, the most balanced you, is so glorious for everybody, even a child. If they even are told, this makes you this way instead of that way, they'll take it. No problem. But they won't take it when they're in the other state, because the other state can't see life clearly, doesn't understand what's going on. Certainly a topic as complex as homeopathy.
Well, they don't understand what the remedy's all about. All they're doing is being belligerent and defiant.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? They're not making competent medical decisions on their own behalf. They're being a twat.
Yeah.
That's all that they're doing.
Yeah.
Right? And that's part of this whole condition, is just being pretty obnoxious, really. And they're just going to say no to everything, including all the remedies. So, no, it's on the onus is on the parent, and they have to get it in there. And well, look, if they're the type that say, well, they've said no, so there's nothing I can do, well, that's right. There's nothing you can do. So see you later.
And there's nothing you can do
there's
either.
Nothing I can do either.
Because it's really important that people start by taking the right remedy, which you do your very best to find as quickly as possible, that they follow instructions. That we've noticed this, haven't we? Patients who follow instructions, and funnily enough, not everybody does. It's odd, isn't it? To come to a practitioner and then not follow their instructions seems odd. But anyway, most people do, and they clearly do better, much faster, if they just take the remedy as directed, keep the notes. They don't sort of badger you. They just clear communication as appropriate. And it just seems to go quite well. And then, of course, you take the naturopathic advice to another level, where you look at, okay, well, could you be eating better, sleeping, exercising? You package it all up. Much easier to do once you're on a good remedy too.
Yeah, often it's remedy first and then lifestyle second.
Definitely.
Because the problem, when you're in this pandas state, so you've got brain inflammation. That brain inflammation switches on the fight or flight switch. The nervous system now becomes alive and is looking for anything that might, this is why they have separation anxiety. Half of them can't even go to the toilet alone, They need every light on in the house. They need somebody, but they're abusive to the person that they need.
Yeah.
Because it's fight and flight.
Yep.
It's not even fight or flight.
They know something's wrong and they're lashing out.
It's fight and flight and freeze. That's it. There's no or really in it.
But can I point out, though, I know you reference pandas a lot, and I get it because your clinic is so highly a pandas clinic. But that doesn't, people go, do you treat other things? And I'm not doing an ad here, by the way, because we got too many patients already. But, of course, homeopathy treats pretty much anything and everything that is a chronic condition for a person.
Well, it treats you. So whatever you have.
It treats you to be a stronger, more energised, more self-correcting, self-balancing, healthy person. But what I find interesting is that a lot of people might consciously say, I know I need to exercise more. I know I need to eat better. I know I need to do A, B, C, D. But until they get the right remedy, it's just they haven't got the energy. They haven't got the drive, the motivation. Some people can just get by on pure willpower. But a lot of people can't. They do need the support to get the momentum going. But the really nice thing is once they get the right remedy, now it becomes so much more easy to eat properly, to exercise properly. And then, of course, that redoubles the positive outcomes. And you start to see some incredible outcomes, don't you?
Yes, you do. But you need to have the willpower to do it. All right? That's number one. And you won't have the willpower if you don't have the energy. Because willpower takes more energy than it gives sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
Once you do the actual activity, like exercise, they often say the hardest thing to do in exercise, put your gym shoes on.
Yeah, just get going.
And just to get started. But who do you know that's ever gone for a walk and come back feeling worse? Right? You always do feel better, but it's getting started. That's
unless you've got an injury or something, obviously that's different. But if you're in an average place.
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not sort of saying you should go for a run even though you've got a broken leg. And I'm saying that for the average person, if you can just get over that first step, you'll be okay. But when you're in a state of fight or flight, you don't have the energy to be able to draw on for you to make those decisions.
It's interesting because everybody knows, like if you're really stressed about something, say there's something emotionally going on in your life and it will devour your thoughts and you literally can't notice other things. You can't quite focus on eating properly. In fact, you'll often choose really poor choices just because it's simple and easy and almost a little self-punishing too, I think. And it's so hard to get yourself into a good place if you don't have a starting point to work from.
Well, it's selfish, right?
Yeah.
So you can tell how deep a pathology is by how selfish the person is.
Yeah.
Because it becomes all-consuming. All your own pain, your own distress, that's all you can end up thinking about. And it becomes to the exclusion of everyone in your life because it's just too dominating. And when you're dealing with, say, well, I know you're saying that, I keep referring back to it, but, it's because it's 80% of my business, So when you're dealing with pandas, they're in such a state that all they are is self-interested. Yeah. It's just about getting their base needs met.
Which is really, really hard for the family or anyone else.
But here's the thing, right? So your brain is inflamed, particularly if it's basal ganglia, you've got tics happening, you've got all sorts of stuff. Move your shoulders up and down, maybe, every 1 or 2 seconds. And do that for hours on end. See how they are by the end of the day. Or blink your eyes rapidly, but do it all day. Blink your eyes rapidly, move your mouth, and shrug your shoulders. You start to feel or you start to realise how much energy that person is using. And we haven't even got to the distress part yet. Right? That's just the physical part. So when you're in that state of fight or flight, because your brain thinks you're in danger, it just says, right, all available energy goes into the survival response. So it's not even the things that you can feel like the shoulder shrugs or the facial grimaces or the eye blinking. You've also got a nervous system that is so hyper-vigilant they can hardly sleep. They can't be within more than a metre away, that's 3 feet if you're American, away from somebody else in the house. You've got an immune system that's running so rampant. You go to a medical doctor, whether functional or otherwise, and you're coming back with a toilet roll list of everything that this kid is reactive to. And it's only because they're honest in this state of alarm. Right? That's all it is. It isn't actually an immune problem. It isn't actually a nervous system problem. It isn't actually a musculature problem. It's all of those things, but they're an outcome. Right? The actual problem is your brain's in fight or flight. It's inflamed. You must get that down. Now, remedies are great at being able to do that. But you can get more out of it if you can stop eating bloody sugar too. That's the other thing.
Not just the white powdery kind, but all Plants convert to sugar in your body. If you're having a super amount of fruit, veg, biscuits, rice, pasta, etc., it all converts to slow sugar, fast sugar, medium sugar, but it's still sugar in the end.
Because in the end, your nervous system, look, your fight or flight system, your survival instinct is burning up energy at a rate that is rapidly faster than in a relaxed state. So that means it needs more and more and more energy just to stay functional. And where is it getting that energy? It will make you crave sugar. These kids will hunt out. You have anything sweet in the house and they are going to hunt it out. So, this is the thing, mate. And so when we go back to the original question, which was the potency and, what we repeat and why, I always start with a 30. So you can see how if I gave 130 to somebody who's in that state, they might feel good for a couple of hours maybe?
Or not at all. Some people take a 30 for 1 to 2 weeks before it even kicks in.
Yes, and the reason for that is because it's chipping, right? So you're slowly, so this 100% alert nervous system or survival instinct off remedy 1 goes to 99. You're going to be able to see the difference? No. Goes to 98 the second day, goes to 97 the third day, and so on. You could get to 2 weeks in before you're starting to notice a difference. Right? But it doesn't mean that difference isn't occurring from day 1. It's just that it's not observable until about day 14. That's why I ask people to wait. So when you sort of say, repeating remedies or not, it's not even a question. If you want to be in business and you want to help people, the answer is yes. If you're going to stick with the dogma of homeopathy and put Hahnemann up there as angel status rather than smart person status, and we obey simply because we obey, then get out of my way, because you're actually making things worse. Right? He's a smart guy, all reverence to you, good for you, fella. You did a great job there, but you missed out on this one little bit. Now, you add this little bit, you keep repeating the right remedy to someone, and you will get somewhere fast. So, the only time where I might not start with the 30 is if we have a child. Sorry for the phone in the background. I normally set that to silent, but there you go. The only time that I might not do a 30 is when the kid is so wild. Mm-hmm. Like I have literally, not figuratively, I have literally had kids that have dug a moat around the house because they have to get the energy out, and they have run around the house at the parents' request, like just get out and do something. They just run. And they have run a track that has turned into a moat because they just run and for hours and hours and hours on end. Now, that kid is in such a state that the 30 is going to be so imperceptible that I might start with a 200 and cross my fingers. But with most other kids, I still start with a 30 just in case.
It's a testing dose, isn't it?
Just in case. Because these kids, like I said to you earlier, and you see parents, they'll go to functional medicine doctors and whatever, and they will just come back with about an 8-page report of everything that this kid is reacting to. Well, there's sort of question mark number 1. Right, so because they shouldn't be reacting, that's all that's showing you is that their immune system is on red alert and it doesn't know Arthur from Martha.
Yeah.
Right. So, but that will calm down. But the major thing, and I sort of lost track, is that because they're in that reactive state, I err on the side of caution and I give the 30 because they're in such a heightened state. That 30 is not going to last more than 24 hours usually, 48 max. So if they react in a negative way because I'm wrong, all you have to do is stop that remedy and they will just go back to normal within that period if the remedy is the culprit. But usually most of the time where I get an email saying they're really bad and they're going crazy and we just started the remedy and it's been one dose or whatever, usually I'll tell them to stop, but I'll just say pretty much words to the effect of just watch and wait because this kid could be either teething or getting sick. And I would say 80% of the time that's exactly what happens. It's not because of the remedy
itself. It's just bad timing. Yeah.
But the parent will panic.
Yeah.
Because they've had all of this hogwash about, these really serious complications and aggravations and provings and whatever, and being told that these provings can be lifelong. They're not.
No, it's not true.
It's not true. Just stop the remedy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same as, I'm not allowed to brush my teeth and all that. And I'm very patient with patients because it's not their fault. They're just asking me what someone else has told them or what they've read online, right? So it's not their fault. But homeopaths, after 200 years, should be starting to get beyond some of this rubbish because it is rubbish. You could put the remedy on your toothbrush if you wanted to. It's not going to make any difference. I've had people where I've gone into hospital, their whole limb is black and blue and they're on antibiotic drips and steroid drips and all sorts of things, as you know, and we give them damn remedies and you get it right and you start seeing it recede in front of your eyes, even though they're on these drips. If homeopathy can't do toothpaste, deodorant, coffee, or any other medication, then it's time for it to die. It's not for this age. But the truth is it can get through all of it because it's treating you. It's an energy that your body needs, and your body will always uptake what it needs, no matter what condition that you're in or what circumstances. It may be limited into how much it can take. So somebody on a cacophony of drugs, for example, I'm not expecting them to spring back quickly. If they're doing, eating, taking and swallowing all of the wrong things, you're not going to make a marked difference by the time I talk to you next month. But if you aren't doing those things, then it will be a marked difference.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is that no matter what your state, your body's always going to take in what it needs, just like air. Right?
If it's in the vicinity and it needs it, it'll take it on. We're designed for it.
So does that answer?
Yeah, that's
question?
really good. I think you've given a pretty nice overview. So, we're probably pretty close to the end of this session. So we're up to podcast number 42, which is a little bit ironic for those of you who are old like us and remember the Douglas Adams. Was it a trilogy restaurant at the end of the universe or something?
Hitchhiker's
Guide to the Galaxy. What's the answer to the ultimate question of life, the universe and everything? And the ultimate answer is 42, which is kind of interesting because we are on episode 42. We're going to take a little break for a while. We've been doing this weekly for close on a year. And
42 weeks.
42 weeks,
Right.
which is not quite a year, but it's 10 off. And we've just got some special projects on. Our clinic is through the roof. We're bringing in some other homeopaths. We're just doing a few different things.
I think that's important because the way that you were just speaking, I think if I was a listener, I would get the impression there's no use booking in because we'll never get in. But that's not the case because we are bringing more people in.
Yeah, we're trying to.
That doesn't mean that you might get you or me straight away.
Yeah, that's okay, and we're trying to fast track. But beyond that too, we do have an amazing training program, and I just think if you've got up to episode 42, if you've listened to all of this, hopefully you can hear our sincerity, our enthusiasm, and you're thinking to yourself, you know what, I could do 40 hours. I could learn to be a better homeopath. I could know how to choose remedies without getting myself totally overwhelmed.
Can you just also talk about how you do mentoring sessions, because they are really valuable to would-be students, and I think you undersell it, to be quite frank.
Okay, so what we do is we have 10 classes, which is introduction, and then we have 40 classes advanced, but they're essentially just stream 1 and stream 2. We want everybody to start at the beginning just to clarify their understanding of homeopathy if they've only got a little or they haven't done it for a while, or let's face it, every college teaches it a bit differently. It's kind of good to get back to the basics and refresh yourself. Then we introduce HFA, so all that's done in 10 classes. Then you move to the next stream, the advanced stream, and you do another 40 classes. The total's about 40 hours because most of the classes are less than an hour. And once you get to the end of that, if you want, we have one-on-one mentor sessions. Now, I find I've been doing these for probably 10 years now. I find most students rarely go over 4 sessions. They'll say at the beginning, I think I'm going to need a lot. By the 4th session, they're quite confident. And I say to them, if you follow the process, if you just practice, you'll get pretty good pretty quickly. And they're already starting to sort out cases for their family, maybe some friends. Themselves, I usually like to do themselves with me just because it is hard to be objective with yourself. But that's okay. We do that. We can do a case, a face, a full case management plan in about an hour. I'm thrilled that we can do it. I just love HFA. I just think the process is amazing. I think to have been part of it for now over 25 years. I think we started in about 98, so it's 27 years now. Just an extraordinary thing. Just facial structure equals miasm, miasm plus totality, particularly when you do the generals for your rubrics. You're just in the ballpark for a good remedy. You should get it within 1 to 4 remedies for about 80% of people. And that's just extraordinary. It just gives you a confidence. And I really hope during this break that you can catch up on the podcasts. You might want to come and look at our training. So, everything's at the end of this where to go. So good luck, everybody.
Yeah, and also too, I think I would just say that I think some people are very determined to see me, but I would like to also point out that we have a few hand-picked practitioners who are... The thing you've got to understand is that it isn't about the prestige of the practitioner.
No, it's the process.
The process is the same. And you can get a consultation with you, for example, and you're going to do exactly what I do. So it's not about sort of I can never get in to see him. We do give you other alternatives and other people to see. So, take advantage of it. That's all I'm saying.
Yep. Well, number 42, hopefully we'll be back down the track. We'll see how we go. We do have some projects we want to finish that are to do with HFA. And so we thought, let's just take a break and get stuck into those. So
okay.
Thank you, everybody.
I hope you all enjoyed it.
Yeah. Thank you very much. And if you want to send us an email, just go to the site and you can put in a query there and we'll help you out.
Okay. Bye, all.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening to Soul and Survival. If you are interested in more information, books, courses, consultations, learning more about facial analysis or life themes, please visit our college site, Victorian College of Classical Homeopathy, vcch.org.